Hello and welcome to Hatua podcast. My name is Rebecca Kemunto and I'm going to be your host for this conversation. The Kenyan Constitution has gotten to its 15-year mark, and this is 2025. With me on set are two gentlemen and one lady, and we are going to talk about the achievements that we have made so far and the challenges that we have faced along the way. We have Mr. Charles Hongo. Thank you so much for coming. The next person is, I'm sure it's a face that you have seen around town. Her name is Wanjira Wanjiru. She's a social justice advocate and an activist. She uses art as a form of activism, and we're happy to have you on set.
Thank you so much.
The next person is Ngugi Ndegwa. Thank you so much for the time that you have created.
Thank you so much.
And we want to talk about the Constitution of Kenya at 15. So my first question will be to Charles as we throw it heading this direction. Initially, from the Independence Constitution to this Constitution, activism has changed and the way citizens participate in governance has changed. I believe that you were there before and you're here now. What is your opinion about the change? How has the change happened over time?
I think there's been obviously tremendous change. There are lots of things that people are able to do today that probably in the past could have been very difficult. Because previously, obviously the executive, not only the executive but the president, had a lot of there was a lot of fear around the presidency, and therefore taking the president head on was not as easy, until probably maybe in the mid-90s things changed a bit, because now you had the so-called second liberation fighters, who came along and were able to kind of mobilize people and force the president to cede some of the authorities that he had to the people. So obviously we are operating in a different environment, in terms of fear that was there previously that maybe is not there now. But I think there is still a lot to be done, and especially in the last 2 years or so, we've seen that kind of feeling where people are starting to say again, you post something on social media, for example, people could pick you up.
Yeah.
But generally compared to the region, our neighbors, surrounding countries, I think Kenyans are, the constitution we have, I think, has given us much more liberties, than what was there previously. And of course, there's also the issue of devolution and the public participation. So even though we haven't really realized the full benefits of those fruits as probably maybe the drafters of the constitution envisioned, but I think we are on our way towards getting there. Those are some of the changes that we've seen, and of course, as usual, the Bill of Rights, which is something that is very important, that previously wasn't there. So at least people have a sense that we have our personal liberties are guaranteed, and even though sometimes we still get punished for it, but if we have a working judiciary, sometimes we've seen the judiciary coming in and protecting people, but there's still a lot to be done.
Great. Wanjira, the civic space has changed, citizen participation, the game has changed. What is your opinion? What is your feeling about that?
I think it's a progressive advancement for the people of Kenya.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's just because of the progressive constitution that we have that has enabled the civic space to expand in that sense. That young people are able to translate all sovereign power belongs to the people.
Yeah.
Gives the civic space life. They are able to know that the representatives that are in power are there because we put them in power. So they're public servants. Yeah. They're there to serve us, not to lord over us. So that has really made the civic space very vibrant, because people now understand they have the right to even recall you.
Yeah.
But we have some challenges, of course, with that. Like IBC says, they don't have the mandate, which is subverting the constitution. So I think the Constitution of Kenya 2010 is the bedrock of the civic space that continues to empower us.
Yeah.
Chapter 4 on the Bill of Rights, Article 43 on the Constitution, on the social justice rights that Kenyans are entitled to.
Yeah.
So we are getting to see that our country is not poor, but we don't understand why healthcare is still a problem, why education is still a problem, why extrajudicial killings continue to happen. So Kenyans are taking to the streets and young people are taking to the streets with this realization that we have the power, we have a right to these things, and we actually have the resources. It's just that the people who are in power are depriving us of these rights. So there's bound to be conflict.
Okay. Thank you for that. Ngugi, the game has changed. What do you think about it?
I think a lot has changed.
Yeah.
And one we have to appreciate that. One has to appreciate that the new Constitution 2010 afforded the people quite a commendable bandwidth of power and influence.
Yeah.
But now the people are truly the owners of the nation, and they can run their country if they wanted to.
Yeah.
But I think even with that much change, there is also the issue of us not wanting to implement the laws that we have made.
Yeah.
But being hell-bent on wanting to over-legislate, thinking that making more laws will make it better for us. But on the flip side, implementing what we already have, and for example, implementing the Katiba 2010 will be of much importance to the people of Kenya. But there is also need to appreciate the fact that we have two generations that are now seeing, who are, I think can appreciate the 2010 Constitution more than they can appreciate the previous one, because we did not see it work, even if we were there, but we were probably too young to see the workings of it. And that has enabled us to be fearless in a way.
Now that we're talking about public participation, and I believe that all of us in this table, we have the experience of the country generally. I'm curious, what is the difference between a young person who lives in the urban areas, Nairobi, and our major cities, Mombasa, and the ones who live in Mashinani, Ushago? First of all, what are the differences that these two young people have when it comes to public participation? And if there's a gap, really, how then do we close this gap so that the people in the rural areas can also participate as much as people in the urban areas?
Thank you for that question.
Okay.
Because it brings me to what we are organizing towards as young people. I'm also a very strong champion for alternative political leadership in Kenya, which then makes the Kenyan people participate in political processes from the grassroots level. So when we talk about, and this is because we have seen that gap in public participation.
Yeah, for sure.
We wake up and see a stadium is being built, or a road is being built, or but we have not asked the people, is this a priority for you at this particular time?
Yeah.
Do you need us to do a stadium, or do you need a school, or do you need a hospital? So we are saying in alternative political leadership, before anything happens in the community, the ward people's councils should be consulted. So we are proposing that we have each ward have people's assembly, that they elect 5 representatives as their leadership. Trusted leadership who have the interests of the people at heart. So before anything happens in that ward, the ward people's councils is informed, is consulted if this is a priority, is informed of the budget that is supposed to be spent, and involves the community in taking part of that kind of development, so that we are having development that is people-centered and not political-centered.
Great.
Development for the people, by the people.
I'll just pick from there for you. Question, Mr. Charles, do you think civic education transforms citizens from just being passive to actual defenders of laws?
Okay, before I respond directly to that, I just want to add to something. She was saying, public participation, sometimes we might think that it is just limited to, official or, official forums or official
formal engagements.
But I think a very good example of public participation is actually what we saw last year during the finance. Yes, there are people who went and claimed, town hall meetings, what that. But people came online, were saying, no, these are our views on these things, whatever. And when Parliament was not able to endorse it, people said we are going to the street, and they stopped it. So that's actually public participation. So public participation is not just necessarily in confined to meeting with the National Assemblies but it's actually just people expressing their feelings and ideas about some things. And if it gains traction and a lot of people buy into it, then even if the political class of the executive is not able to take action, people can force the governments, to take action. And what happened last year was a classic example of that. People said, no, we are not going to buy into this. But I think again, I think the current generation has tools that maybe the previous generation never had. So when you talk about civic education, I mean, I've worked with non-profits, for long, and we've been given grants to go and do education about elections, for example. Of lots of money, and people are trying to have meetings and workshops in hotels, and are trying to produce some content on radio. But again, if I go back to the finance bill last year, we saw a kind of civic education that had quite an impact that I don't think even the non-profits have had. People were translating the finance bill into language, just putting it out there on social media, on X, on WhatsApp, and I think that kind of movement, those kind of initiatives, I think is where we need to put more of our effort. So for me, my question will then be, how do we maintain that kind of momentum where you have civic awareness being created that is not necessarily pushing? Because what happens with NGO work, again, people become a bit suspicious, when people nowadays are like, who's funding these guys? There must be some agenda. But how do you build something that is organic? And I think those are the tools that I think this generation has, that the previous generations never had.
Oh yeah, true.
I did civic education, working with books and going into villages, and I would be nabbed by the chief. What have you come to do here? You're not welcome. Well, that was in 2000. It was very different environment. But I think there's increased civic awareness, and I think it is more of because there are much more organic voices coming out, especially in social media, and that is translating into the grassroots, which is different from the very well thought out, organized programs that has been done by civil society organizations in the past.
Okay. Ngugi, from where you sit, before we came to site, you told me that you have been in this space for 9 years. What lessons have you learned? And with the movement that we have, the Gen Z movement, what do you think we should do for us to be able to achieve the society that we want to live in?
First of all, I think what I have learned is just beyond civic education.
Yeah.
There is even more need for political education, because those are two totally different things.
Yeah.
That it is important that now we have gotten to the stage where now, beyond what we had in 2024, June 25th of 2024, and this year, June 25th again, beyond that, we need to understand that these are the mandatory or maybe the mandates of the leaders that we are electing. That is civic education. Once we have learned that, then it becomes easier for the people to go just beyond the ballot and understand that they need to put these leaders to account that they are elected. But even beyond that, these two generations that I'm talking about, that is what I've learned in the political space and the civic and the civil society space, that we need political education to understand the workings of this space. That it is good, it is well and good that young people are giving themselves up for elective posts, but they also need to understand the history of our politics, where we have come from, and the mistakes that other generations have made, And one of those mistakes is normalizing oppression and saying that this is how politics works. Saying that politics is that is the wrong approach.
Wanjira, how do we address the harassment that we are facing as a country when it comes to public participation?
Tekeleza katiba,
Tekeleza.
Katiba yetu itekelezwe.
Yeah.
Our constitution gives us the right to life, the right to protest, Article 37,
Yeah.
the right peaceably and unarmed, which is what the Gen Zs have been doing. But I think most importantly, we need to be able to rally behind the champions for civic rights and civic and political rights. When Albert Ojwang was murdered, the way people stood with Albert Ojwang was spectacular.
Yeah.
The way we demanded to see his body at the mortuary.
Yeah.
And it was only then that we were able to see that he was tortured and beaten. And the whole country was like, this cannot be happening. Because he wrote something, his punishment is death and torture, and he was literally at home with his parents eating. So this desire to not normalize this kind of happenings that we cannot normalize, which is what we started doing at Mathare, say we are not going to normalize police killings anymore.
Yeah.
So we as a country need to say we are not going to normalize killings because we have opinions. Freedom of speech is a guaranteed right.
Yeah.
So it is for Kenyans to be very proactive in defending every Kenyan who raises up to defend our sovereignty. Tunakusupport. Ukishikwa tunatokea. When Boniface Mwangi was arrested and charged with terrorism, we went to Pangani police station and we were many activists.
Yeah.
So this shows the system that the people are not just watching on the sidelines, are not being afraid, because we cannot be afraid to organize to give ourselves dignity. That doesn't make any sense. This country is ours. Pia nadhani tunakalia hii nchi na side moja. Ni kama ni yetu, ni kama si yetu. Nika tuko second class citizens. Tuko home. Hii ni nchi yetu. Na sisi ni sovereigns. So tekeleza katiba.
Ndegwa,
Yes.
we as young people in this space, we have seen a lot of harassment. How do we move forward?
How we move forward is exactly what Wanjira has said.
Yeah.
That we need to be each other's keeper. That we need to show up for every single one of us, whether they are from tribe 1 or tribe 2 or from this family or the other.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter. I think what was beautiful, according to myself, about 2024 and the Gen Z movement thing was that you will see people from what we used to call bigger families coming out.
Yeah.
And that is what I think, in essence, made these politicians want to brand this as something that is being orchestrated from somewhere in boardrooms.
Yeah.
Because they will see that we are mixed up. They are younger people who seem to come from well-off families and those from poor families, according to how we brand ourselves. But this also shows that in the first place that young people are understanding, and they need to understand more, that when these problems affect us, they affect all of us. It doesn't really matter where you come from. It doesn't matter your social background or what. It will affect all of us. And so that is just the single thing we need to understand as young people. So I think that will help us. And also there was the issue of lack of leadership.
Yeah.
Because in 2024, I think Gen Zs were saying they are leaderless and partyless. So moving forward, I think one other thing that we must do is that we must not become formless. We must by all means have a structure that enables us now to vet leaders or leadership for the next generations. Because we are not just here for ourselves, we are here for our generation and the generations to come. So that my daughter can find a better country, then it means that I have as a father to ensure that we have a proper structure that has vetted leaders that will transition this thing so that it gets to the leaders of her generation. We should be progressive.
Yeah.
And for us to be progressive, we must have a structure.
Yeah.
we must have leadership.
Yeah.
We must join political parties. We must never see politics as a thing that must be done by them.
Yeah.
It is a thing that must be done by us. And we must get, we copied, I think as Africans, we copied our colonial masters, the violent and the aggressive kind of politics, and forgot to copy what they are doing with accountability. Because you will see, like the former Prime Minister in the UK, when there were issues in his office, he had to step aside and let things take its course. And that happens the world over. But for us, I think mtu atakwamilia hapo, but I would rather die than resign.
Yeah.
So we need to get ourselves a system that works and do away with personalities. When a system that works for us is in place, it makes it easier for us to view the presidency as an office rather than the person. So that when the person has failed, it is clear for us that he has failed and we cannot cover that up. And it is also clear for them that they need to step aside so that they stop getting in the way of everyone else.
So we lack accountability.
We lack accountability.
Ah, nice. Talking about structures, we do have institutions that have been put in place to ensure that we achieve the dreams of our Constitution 2010. And one of the most important institutions is the IEBC that was recently constituted. Mr. Charles, starting from you headed to this direction, do you think our IEBC it has what it takes, A, to deliver the next elections that are supposed to be free and fair, and 2, to actually, move the country towards the dream of devolution?
First of all, the question is who reconstituted that IEBC?
Yeah.
And therein lies the answer.
Yeah.
The IEBC has always delivered elections. The elections are always free.
Yeah.
Whether they are fair is another story. And for me, the issue is not even IEBC. Because I think they will work within the parameters that they have been given, and they will deliver what they need to deliver that time.
Yeah.
But as he suggested, the question is how do we get these progressive new voices into politics? And I think even as people say we are tribeless, we are leaderless, we are partyless, I think we have to face the reality of real politics, and real politics means grassroots mobilization and organization, and this takes expertise and experience. We have to join some of these parties, even though right now we might not like maybe some of their leaders or what, but we have to infiltrate them, or rather the new voices have to infiltrate those parties or form their own parties, but be alive to, that politics is politics. I mean, electoral politics is electoral politics. You are not going to say we want to operate in a certain nirvana or utopia, and that is how you are going to bring change. Otherwise, bodies like IEBC, they will just operate as much as the current political environment allows them to operate. So if you want new IEBCs, then you need new thinking and new voices into those positions of power. That's why I asked who reconstituted the IEBC. Yeah.
Wanjira, do you think IEBC will take us to the right direction and other institutions that we have in place?
No, I don't think IEBC will take us to the right direction. One, because they have already demonstrated that they do not respect the sovereignty of the people.
Yeah.
We wanted to recall Nairobi Women Rep, Basaris, and the IEBC says there's no constitutional framework for that, which is a lie. So we do not have much faith in that institution, and especially because who constituted it? You're not going to put up a team to affirm that you have been overthrown by the Kenyan people, which is why we are saying, can we start as early as now to have our own alternative political leadership? So that when we say all sovereign power belongs to the people of Kenya, it's not just a slogan we are chanting on the streets. It is a practice that we have from the grassroots level going up.
Okay.
Please allow me to read the roadmap to alternative political leadership in Kenya, how we are envisioning it is each ward shall establish a people's assembly, which shall then elect representative to the ward people's councils, 5. And these people's assembly are issue-based assemblies. So in our area, if the problem is water, the 5 representatives that have been elected by the community, their responsibility is to lobby and make sure that water has come to the community. They need to go to the water ministry to ask, ni kwa nini hatuna maji Kayole? Hizi miaka zote kwa nini hatuna maji? So that we are eliminating the issue of waiting for 5 years to resolve our issues. It is urgent. Water is an urgent need, or education, or healthcare, or whatever issue that is pressing us as a community, so that we get out of this 5-year loop that is a line. This every 5 years, we are always just hoping that this president we have voted for actually works for us. It is not a guarantee. So we are looking at this and are saying we need a fundamental change in how we conduct politics in our area, in our country. And then now the ward people's councils shall then elect representatives to the constituency people's assembly, which shall then elect representatives to the national people's assembly. So the national people's assembly has representatives from all constituencies. So tuna organize kwa ward na constituency. And then now the national people's assembly elects the national people's council, which is like the executive, that makes sure that all issues that are raised from the ward people's councils are actually resolved. Whatever it is that they need to do to make sure they have been resolved is done. So why we're saying this is going to work is because these are not leaders that are handpicked by Raila or go and buy ODM tickets or any other tickets, because that's how politics are happening right now.
Yeah.
If you've not been endorsed by Baba, hata kama watu wanakutaka kwa hiyo region, hautakuwa kiongozi. So then inafanya progress yetu inakuwa mark timing, hatusonge mbele. So this alternative political leadership inafanya viongozi ambao tunataka kama wananchi, tunawapatia hiyo mandate and whatever support they will need. If they need us to show up to the Ministry of Water, all of us as a community, because water is an issue that we need resolved, we all go. Yeah, so I think that is how we want to start having politics as a culture. The Katiba is a social contract between the people and the leaders that we elect. That is why when the president is being sworn in, he says, I swear to uphold and protect this constitution. The previous generation, they struggled so much to give us this Katiba. I read from Willie Mutunga's book, former CJ, Constitution Making from the Middle. So it is the people themselves that walijipatia hii Katiba. 15 years later, our generation is to make sure that this Katiba is not just a document on the shelf somewhere.
Yeah.
This Katiba is actually upheld and implemented, and particularly Article 43 on social and economic rights, Article 1 on our sovereignty, and the Bill of Rights. Happy Katiba at 15. Tekeleza Katiba, tekeleza.
Tekeleza. Charles?
Yeah. I think the Constitution has given us an aspiration of who we want to be, as she's rightly talked about Article 43.
Yeah.
But the Constitution has also given us the tools to achieve that aspiration, and especially in terms of public participation. I think this is something that we are yet to fully take advantage of it, to shape the communities or the societies that we would want to be. We've been passive. We think that it's something that we wait for the political class or some people to propose something and then we come. But I think let's be proactive. Let's imagine the kind of country, the kind of communities we want to be, and let's take advantage of the various communities in the Constitution to push for it. Otherwise, I hope the Constitution will continue to endure.
Yeah.
It won't be so far it hasn't been molested like the previous one.
Yeah.
It just kept on being chopped, and thank God for the safeguards that were built into it, and happy Katiba Day.
Thank you so much for watching. If you have anything that you would want to add onto this conversation, please comment on the comment section down below. If you thought there was anything that we did not address, we would be happy to hear from you. My name is Rebecca Kemunto. I'll see you in the next episode. But remember, we are the builders of this country and all of us are needed. Till next time, thank you so much and I'll see you. Bye.